Good evening and welcome to another exciting, interesting, and engaging episode of Z Innovates, a show where education, digital innovation, and education intersect and collide. Also, this is a show that keeps you in the know of everything digital. My name is Onechi and I am your host tonight. And boy, do we have an interesting episode lined up and prepped just for you. Tonight's episode is all about gaming in Zambia. Whether it's Candy Crush to Call of Duty, gaming is the digital frontier that is the most untapped and growing exponentially. And for students who are interested in STEM education and STEM studies, this is an excellent career path. So we have on the show tonight an incredible guest who I'll be introducing in a bit. And she will be telling us about her journey in STEM and becoming the founder and owner of Zambia's first esports team. This is incredible stuff, all very cutting edge. And don't forget that, of course, we are watching, we're live right now on channel 277 on DSTV and, of course, channel 23 on GoTV. And your participation is what makes this show incredible. So please, as you're watching, make use of the numbers on the screen, call or text, and we'll be able to take your calls as the program is moving swiftly along. Now, I did mention that we have a fantastic female guest, but actually there's another special lady I want to introduce in this next segment, and her name is Savvy, and she is an AI co-host of this show, and Savvy will be coming on in every episode to give us a rundown of the latest news in the world of tech. So in this next segment, in our first segment, I'll be handing it over to Savvy. So, Savvy, over to you for our first news segment.
Thank you, Onechi. Apple's Wonderlust event was a spectacle, unveiling a range of new products. Here's a quick rundown. iPhone 15 series. Apple introduced the iPhone 15 and its variants, including the iPhone 15 Plus, iPhone 15 Pro, and iPhone 15 Pro Max. Notable features include a brighter display, new color-infused materials, a 48-megapixel main camera, and the ability to adjust blur and focus after a photo is taken. The iPhone 15 starts at $799, with the Pro models boasting contoured edges, Grade 5 titanium construction, and a breakthrough GPU. Apple Watch Series 9. This new watch boasts powerful Apple Silicon, a brighter display of up to 2,000 nits, and the S9 processor, which Apple claims is the most powerful watch processor they've ever made. Notably, Siri can now access health data directly on the device. The Apple Watch Series 9 starts at $399. Apple Watch Ultra 2, an advanced version of the Series 9, the Ultra 2 features a display with 3,000 nits brightness and a 26-hour battery life. Its price starting at $799. iOS 17, iPadOS 17, watchOS 10, and macOS Sonoma. While details were sparse, Apple did mention these upcoming software updates. Environmental initiatives. Apple emphasized its commitment to the environment. The Apple Watch Series 9 uses recycled metals and cobalt, and Apple has moved away from using leather in its watch bands and iPhone cases. Other announcements. Apple introduced the roadside assistance via satellite feature, allowing users to connect to a roadside assistance provider. The iPhone 15 now supports USB-C, and the Pro models can record ProRes video at 4K 60 FPS directly to an external drive. Thank you for that comprehensive update. It's clear that Apple continues to innovate and push the boundaries of technology. We'll be keeping a close eye on user reviews and feedback as these products hit the market.
Thank you, Savvy. As you could see, the Wonderlust event by Apple was the biggest thing in tech this past week, trending globally. And as you saw there, Apple, again, pushing the barriers in some ways, but relatively staying safe in most. And we'll see as soon as these products begin to hit the market. But there's some great review videos already available online that you can check out on YouTube if you're an Apple fan. But thank you very much, Savvy, and we will see you next week. Now, as I had mentioned earlier, today's episode is all about gaming and gaming's place in the tech landscape of Zambia. And we also are spotlighting and featuring a very, very interesting young man, and his name is Mr. 5000. And in this next segment, we're going to learn a bit more about him and all the incredible things that he's doing in the world of competitive esports, not just in Zambia, but Africa-wide and the entire world. So let's learn a little more about Mr. 5000 in this next second segment.
Justin, known as Mr. 5000, began his professional gaming journey with Mario on a fun station. His passion for fighting games ignited with Mortal Kombat 3 on the Sega Mega Drive. Without owning a console, he mastered his skills on others' devices and at gaming parlors. His prowess was evident when he confidently competed in Kenya, unbeaten. He's now a recognized figure in the global gaming community, having been approached to play professionally. As for where his moniker comes from, the fighting game community FGC named him Mr. 5000 because of his rapid gameplay. He shares a strong bond with the African FGC, practicing and collaborating with top players. Early on, he admired players like Honeybee and Sonic Fox. They motivated him to compete at higher levels. However, outside of gaming, he's associated with the Global Health Corps and holds a degree from the University of Osaka. He aims to mentor others in esports, hoping to derive a sustainable income from gaming. Mr. 5000 urges aspiring gamers to chase their passion, learn from setbacks, and always strive for better.
When I tell you that incredible things are happening with Zambians in esports, it is literally the tip of the iceberg. Mr. 5000 is renowned in Africa. He's an African champion in Mortal Kombat 11, and he competes regularly at global tournaments for Warner Brothers, who are the publishers of the Mortal Kombat games and Injustice games. And so he actually has traveled all around the world. This is a homegrown Zambian story, a Zambian youth who started playing video games in the markets, in Zambian markets, and from the markets in the peri-urban area where he grew up. Now he's global and international. Well, without much ado, I did mention that we had a very special guest in the studio, and her name is Cholwe Ellen Shabukali, who is the founder of the Gematrix esports team, and is the interim president of the African Gaming Council. And so she's going to tell us a whole lot more about all the fantastic things that she's doing. So, Cholwe, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Nechi.
I have to say, it's really our great pleasure and privilege to have you, Cholwe. Someone of as illustrious as you with your career and all that you're doing. So I have a few questions, if you don't mind my asking. Okay. Now, Cholwe, as a prominent female figure in the African gaming industry, well respected, this of course is a subset of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math subjects. And as a girl in the space, if you don't mind me calling you girl, I don't want to get in trouble.
Don't call me girl.
Oh boy, okay. So as a girl in the space, STEM, quite technical, can you share some of the unique challenges and opportunities that you have encountered?
Well, going through the process of building the team and really getting ourselves into esports, which is called electronic sports, we found that it wasn't just about gaming. Because initially we just thought, oh, it's just about gaming, let's just play games. But eventually, along the way in our journey building the organization, Gematrix, we found that there are other niches that kids and other people could tap into other than just the gaming. You know, you could go into it from the math perspective and be a business manager of an esports team or a game development company. You could go into it as an actual developer, so which means you have to go into ICT school and you have to do all that. Wow. And you could be the guy who makes sure the internet connects to the console. So that's the technical guy. Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunities that are there in STEM for gaming and the ecosystem of esports.
That is incredible. That is incredible. So there's I love the part about it being an ecosystem. It's fantastic. Now, obviously, with you being a female, let's talk. Oh, I hope that
girl.
The girl. Okay. Let's talk a bit about diversity in gaming. Okay. The global gaming industry has been criticized historically for its lack of diversity, both in the game characters that people play and even in the development teams. So, how do you believe your perspective as a woman in STEM could influence the narratives and representation in the overall gaming culture, one, but two, also in the growing African gaming culture?
Yeah. We've seen a lot of companies, a lot of developers who are trying to integrate, the African culture in their games. We're seeing a lot of black character leads within games, a lot of inclusion that's happening, not just within the games, but actually in the workspace. So what I see myself doing is really focusing more on telling our stories from the grassroots. I feel if we tell our stories more, then we'll be integrated naturally, organically, than us imposing it to say, how do we get into diversification? So I think it's really about each and every person within the ecosystem doing their role and telling their stories from an inclusive point of view and then being integrated naturally into the systems.
That is brilliant. It leads perfectly into my next question, because if we're talking about underrepresentation of women in STEM fields and gaming specifically in this conversation, you obviously are an example of somebody who's been able to overcome that and is thriving in this space as a leader.
Yes.
Worldwide. So what advice would you give to other younger African or even Zambian girls to break into the industry? And I'll let you answer that question.
Okay. So I wanted to make a brief correction. So I'm actually the Secretary General of the Interim Esports Federation of Zambia. Then Mr. Dixon Jere, Honorable Dixon Jere is our president. So what it comes down to is, I'll give an example. Last year in Malawi, as Gematrix and the Esports Federation of Zambia, we collaborated with Liquid and Bongo Hive, and we hosted some qualifiers and managed to take 2 Zambian gamers to represent Zambia at the Region 5 Games. And this was like the first time the Region 5 Games or any event had something specific to Africa where African gamers could win medals, like real medals. Wow. So that was pretty exciting. So now one of the things I shared with, that was touching to some Malawian girls that I met there, was that the truth of the matter is you have to start from the beginning. And by the beginning, I mean starting with what you have. So working with what you have. So in my instance, in my case, it really was working with the tools that I had at my disposal, and also networking myself with people who could help me push to the next level. So networking is very vital, and being very proactive. When you talk of diversity, one of the reasons I got through it is not thinking of myself as a diverse person, but mainly thinking of myself as just a gamer, and not really putting the label on myself as being a girl gamer. So what happened was, I then opened myself to the mindset of being more open now. And I started learning, I became like a sponge, basically. Okay. So learning from various women who I admire in the industry, various men who I admire in the industry, and trying to implement elements of what they're doing externally outside of Zambia within our organization. And that's part of the vision that we have also for the Federation, to really see how best we can encompass everything that we have in our general resources towards diversity, inclusion, and hopefully that we can get to our target soon.
Cholwe, that is fantastic. And this is just a reminder to you, our viewers, that you are watching Z Innovates on CBC TV, here on channel 277 on DSTV, and of course channel 23 on GoTV. We do have a call and text number on the screen, so please, if you have any messages, do send them through. If you have any questions for Cholwe, she is here in the studio and she's ready to take your questions. So having said that, I had another question for you, and I'm not trying to stereotype you as a girl gamer, but I want to talk a bit about game development. So last week on the show, we had engineer Kefus Kalembo, who is the founder, president, and proprietor of Z Study. And Z Study, of course, is a digital learning platform for pupils around Zambia. So I posed a question to Kefus, and I asked him, do you see a connection between gaming and learning? And are there any way these two models could like integrate and to create new pathways for education? Off the top of my head, it could be the basic kind of block building for children, or maybe things that are a bit more technical for older pupils and students. So what do you think about that, Cholwe?
I think it's great. I have a lot of colleagues in the industry who are really like implementing STEM within gaming. And one of the things that I'd really like to point out is when you take your child to school, you take them to school not just to learn the subjects, but to learn about the world and how they can represent themselves within the world, right? So that's where gaming comes in. Within gaming, there's so many variations of gaming, but what the core is, you have to learn how to build something. You have to learn teamwork and collaboration, and also you have to think outside of the box, and that happens in almost all the game variations that are there. So those are the core skills that we want our children to have once we take them into a school environment, and gaming helps with that, in the sense that you could find yourself in a situation where you're teaching community, you're teaching teamwork, you're teaching all those building blocks through subject matter, and giving the kids gaming as a challenge, using gaming as a challenge for them to move towards something. So, for example, we could give a challenge to say, okay, we're going to do a course around game development, and then without even actually having experience with programming, there are lots of tools that are there that can help them learn how to do that. So they learn new skills, they learn teamwork, they learn building blocks of society through gaming, how to represent yourself. One of the other things that I love about gaming is the etiquette that we have within gaming. It's a community. So you find yourselves forming bonds like family, and that leads to something that we need vitally when you're working in the workspace or when you're an entrepreneur, which is networking. So you're learning that through games, simply. So that's one of the things I'd like to highlight. And through gaming, I'm a great example of that. I've got friends all over the world who I can lean to for support, and who have actually helped me push through in the industry. So teamwork, community, team building.
Phenomenal, just phenomenal. So I really want to say thank you to you, Cholwe, for taking the time to be a part of the show. And I think it's been a very enlightening conversation to talk about the rise of gaming in the global digital economy and the potential for that even here in Zambia. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We've come to the end of the show. And thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Z Innovates, and I am your host, Onechi. And we will see you next week for another enlightening and interesting episode. Take care and have a great, great evening.
abantu bonse bali mpira omukinsi waletkaine ensiri
iwe boro ngoma ikatachitenshi
achira tukabatarari ndimwe psia fina tinjefurika mbatikapo enambo kuntuka ensiri
takwata omukinshi ninshachirara ndashani
ine ndimwe psia fatfinsureka mbatikapa inokusantuka tani ogara wimwanchi ukura tukaina tani ogara ayi tukaina ensiri kwatina isamba ponankwe ndimwe psia fibwino kusantukaina ati zedi stadi yani ogara
ati zedi stadi yani ogara awe tensere mwe batarari ifyare kambati kafya zedi stadi nika application kapa phone akama tuitions ifya mwachira mfuata anyo epibura tumwaka so ifyare kambati kapa ni promotion ya ono mwaka iya zedi stadi mobile application ya lessons pa phone
zedi stadi application ndanga pana nina tampe school
zedi stadi application na ina abache bondi balebo mfya sana kari kwa tama lessons from grade 7 to grade 12 kumona GC so barabonza barechita prepare for my exams bafure barebo mfyaka ken ero akene ka application abafure kabomvya sana nyabe nabareremba bari mu examination uno mwaka kumona ba GC bafure kabomvya sana bantu karavwa sana abantu kupasa ka application ya
iwe ndiko batindango kwa download impoteri installation
no mama mambo kufimbira ene mwe bataradi ukatafe download pa Play Store na pa App Store